All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most important but kinda invisible pillars of the modern internet, AWS S3. Seriously, this thing holds a massive chunk of our digital world together, and we're going to figure out exactly how it does it.
So, let's just start with this huge question, right? It affects every single one of us. We are living in a total data explosion. Every time you click, every photo you take, every little thing you do online adds to this gigantic, ever-growing mountain of information. So where does it all go? How do companies keep it safe, secure, and ready for you in a split second? Well, the answer to that question basically changed the internet, and that's what we're here to unpack.
So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll talk about just how big this data problem is. Then we'll meet the company that is absolutely crushing it in this space. After that, we'll get into the original tech that kicked this whole thing off, peek inside to see how it works, see where it's used out in the wild, and then we'll wrap it all up.
Okay, so first up, let's really get our heads around the scale of this challenge. This data explosion, it isn't just about needing more hard drives. No way. It's a massive test of logistics, security, and accessibility for pretty much every business out there.
So, who stepped up to solve this colossal problem? Well, the answer is in the cloud, where one company got there first and basically built an empire on solving this exact challenge.
And wow, this chart, it tells a really powerful story. As of 2025, Amazon Web Services, AWS, isn't just in the lead. It has a commanding 30% of the entire market. I mean, to put that in perspective, that's a full 10 points ahead of its closest competitor, Microsoft Azure. The big three you see here, they control over half the entire global cloud. It's huge.
But here's the thing. That dominance, it wasn't built on 100 different products all at once. It all started with one single, revolutionary idea. A service that would become the foundation for everything that came after. So after building these super powerful internal tools to run their own massive website, Amazon had this aha moment. In March of 2006, they launched one of their very first public services, Amazon Simple Storage Service, or as pretty much everyone calls it, S3. And you have to understand, this wasn't just another product. It was the beginning of the cloud as we know it today.
In this quote, it really gets to the heart of what they were thinking. Before S3, if you needed huge, reliable storage, you had to go out and buy ridiculously expensive physical servers, find a place to put them, power them, maintain them. It was a nightmare. The goal here wasn't just to rent out some server space, it was to totally democratize IT, to give a tiny startup in a garage the exact same powerful, scalable tools as a global corporation. All they needed was a credit card.
Okay, but what is S3 actually? We've talked about how big it is, but how does the thing really work? Let's take a look inside this digital locker.
Okay, so at its core, S3 is what's called object storage. Now, try not to think of it like the folders on your computer. It's more like a massive valet parking service for your data. You hand over your file, that's the object, and it gets a unique ticket, its ID, and a little tag describing it, which is the metadata. You don't have to know where they parked it. You just need to tick it to get it back, instantly.
And yeah, this is the perfect way to think about it. It's not like a hard drive that gets full. For all practical purposes, it's a limitless storage space that you can get to from anywhere in the world, right over the internet. You can throw anything in there, pictures, videos, massive backups, app data, and it just scales.
Okay, now we need to talk about what is, honestly, S3's most mind-blowing feature, its durability. And it's all wrapped up in this one number, 99.9999999%. That is 11 nines of durability. And let's be super clear. This isn't about whether the service is online. This is a promise that it will not lose your data.
So what does a number like that actually mean in the real world? It means S3 is designed so that if you store, say, 10 million files, you could expect to lose just one of them every 10,000 years. It's insane. And it does this by automatically making copies of your data and spreading them across multiple, physically separate data centers. So even if a whole building gets hit by a disaster, your data is still safe and sound somewhere else.
S3 also does this really clever thing to optimize your costs. They have different storage classes, so data you need like right now, think images on a popular website, that lives in S3 standard. But if you have data you almost never touch, like say long-term legal archives, you can stick it in S3 Glacier Deep Archive for just a tiny fraction of the cost. They even have this intelligent tiering class that's smart enough to automatically move your data to the cheapest tier for you based on how often you're using it.
Okay, so we've got this incredibly tough, endlessly scalable digital locker, but where do you actually find it? Well, the honest answer is everywhere. It's so fundamental to how things are built now that most of the internet you use every single day would just break without it.
I mean, S3 is the ultimate workhorse. Companies use it to back up their most critical databases. It's a core piece of their disaster recovery plans. It's the foundation for these huge data lakes that are used for big data analytics. And for so many of the websites and apps you use every day, S3 is just humming along in the background, serving up all the images, videos, and files that make them work. So this brings us to our final, key takeaway. When you really pull back the curtain on our digital world, what does S3 actually represent?
When it comes down to it, S3 has become like the electrical grid or the plumbing for the internet. It's this foundational utility that is so reliable and so deeply woven into everything, you don't even notice it's there. It just works, silently holding an unimaginable amount of the world's data, ready to serve it up in an instant. It's the bedrock that so much innovation has been built on.
So S3 was the answer to the massive data storage problem of its time. But now, as we generate even more insane amounts of data with AI, with the Internet of Things, with tech we haven't even dreamed of yet, it kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. What comes next? Thanks for watching.